From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 3rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.03 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,055 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $362. Antiwar.com reports, though officials continue to insist President Obama intends to close the detention center at Guantanamo Bay at some point, he has reportedly rejected the latest Pentagon proposal to do so as too expensive to justify. The plan would have cost $600 million, $350 million of which was meant to build a new prison on U.S. soil, a figure the president believed was excessive. The plan would have saved $100 million in annual operations for running a prison inside the U.S. instead of the legal black hole at Guantanamo Bay. How the president would have come up with the $600 million, however, was unclear, as Congress has repeatedly barred spending any money on the transfer of prisoners or closing the facility. President Obama insisted such restrictions are counterproductive. When he took office in 2009, President Obama vowed to close Guantanamo Bay by the end of the year, though up to this point he's made no serious efforts to do so. While he has blamed Congress, the opposition to the site's closure has mostly come in the past few years after Obama failed to deliver on the initial pledge. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports police on Wednesday afternoon engaged in a high-speed chase and gun battle with suspects believed to have been involved in an earlier attack on a social services facility in Southern California, according to officials and news reports. Hours after the shooting, authorities spotted 3 people riding inside a dark-colored SUV not far from the original crime scene and attempted to detain them. Following a high-speed chase, 2 suspects were shot, according to NBC News, who cited law enforcement officials. NBC Los Angeles reported 2 of the suspects were killed, but a 3rd fugitive appears to be at large in a residential neighborhood where police brought in a canine unit and went from house to house searching for the perpetrator. More than a dozen people were shot dead and several others were wounded after the gunman opened fire inside the facility, located about 60 miles east of the Los Angeles area around 11 a.m. local. San Bernardino Police Chief Jared Bergwan said at a news conference that as many as 3 gunmen entered the facility and began shooting people inside. More than a dozen people were killed, and police representatives said the injured toll was 17, 10 of whom they said were critically wounded. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a Texas state agency sued the U.S. State Department, a relief agency, and others in federal court on Wednesday, seeking to block the resettlement of Syrian refugees in the state just ahead of a plan to bring a new group of Syrians within a week. The International Rescue Committee is set to relocate 2 Syrian refugee families to Texas in the coming days, despite a threat from state officials that such a move would be reckless and met with a cut in funding for the agency. The Texas Health and Human Services Commission sued, asking the U.S. District Court in Dallas for an immediate restraining order and a hearing by December 9th for an injunction that would prevent resettlement. It is also asking that refugees not be resettled until then. The suit named U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, the U.S. State Department, and others as defendants. Texas is seeking an injunction to halt the resettlement because the state contends the defendants are violating their statutory duty to consult with the state in advance of placing refugees in Texas. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said the point of this lawsuit is not about specific refugees, it's about protecting Texans by ensuring that the federal government fulfills its obligation to properly vet the refugees and cooperate and consult with the state. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.